Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to be going over what an FNLP, a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, is. So my role is to fill the gap between patient and doctor. So as you may have experienced yourself, most of the time in the doctor's office is spent in the actual waiting room or waiting in the exam room. So the functional medicine model presents an ideal scenario for addressing individualized care. Yet there's still that gap in that model. So even if you're seeing a functional medicine doctor, not just a conventional MD, there will still be that gap between patient and doctor. And that's not necessarily the doctor's fault. It's just there's so many patients and not enough doctors that the time for each appointment with each patient is cut short, and there's just not the time to go as deep as they would like, patient or doctor. So it takes a specially trained practitioner to bridge that gap between the physician and the patient to yield both better and more sustainable outcomes. So to fill this gap, I get to know you as a person, my client, really, really well. I learn your entire health history. So we go as far back as from when you were in the womb. Were you born vaginally or by C-section? Were you breastfed or were you bottle fed? And these are actually really important questions to ask in order to understand the whole person so that we can craft that unique and individualized healthcare that is missing from our current system today. So what exactly is nutritional and lifestyle support? Well, so it's the answer to a lot of our problems in the health and healthcare industry today. So it's a modality that works to not just support, but to also educate the patient in what's going on in their body and how making uniquely targeted diet and lifestyle modifications will shift the terrain of their body to help them meet their goals. So what do I mean by terrain? So you can think of the terrain as the biological soil. So let's think about a tomato plant growing in the garden, and it's not flowering and producing fruit because there's not enough potassium in the soil. So then we go ahead and we purchase a fertilizer with a good potassium content, or maybe we crush up dried banana peels and bury them in the soil. And shortly later, you have a tomato plant that is flowering and producing fruit. So the human body works the same way. We need to optimize our soil or our terrain in order to nourish our roots so that we can heal the branches or the symptoms. The branches are the symptoms. So root cause resolution work is really important. It means we're asking the why instead of the what. So yet in order to find these roots, and there are likely more than one, we need to clear the mud from the waters so that we can see what's going on with more certainty. So here's an example. Let's say you're experiencing any or all of the following symptoms: brain fog, resistant weight loss, fatigue, sore joints, migraines, nutrient deficiencies despite a healthy diet, or constipation. Or maybe you've also received a diagnosis of Hashimoto's or another autoimmune condition. So each one of these symptoms, as well as the diagnosis itself, is actually just a downstream manifestation. So what that means is it's a later point in the process. So the symptoms and diagnosis came into being because of several things that happened previously. Things that created the perfect terrain or soil for the manifestation of those symptoms or conditions to occur. So the question we then have to ask is, these symptoms and diagnosis came later than what? What came before these symptoms and these diagnoses? So if we're only addressing the downstream expressions, signs, symptoms, diagnoses, which is the way that our current medical system is set up and how it works, then we miss the chance to get actually sustainable results. And let me say, I do have the deepest respect for doctors everywhere. It's not their fault. They are overworked, they are tired, they don't have enough time to do the deeper work. And that's why my role is so important. So as an FNLP, I use a couple tools that are commonly used in functional medicine practices. So the first one I use is a timeline. So this timeline maps out an entire person's health history their symptoms, diagnoses, medications, and even life events, big life events such as childhood traumas, maybe a divorce, a marriage, or big changes, having a kid, death in the family, anything like that. So I have my clients also fill out a symptom tracker, and then they enter the information, well, I enter the information into something called a functional nutrition matrix. So this matrix divides your symptoms up into an 8-section wheel and gives us a map as a team to see correlations between things that you may have thought were unrelated, and to show which body systems that these symptoms may be a product of, which body symptoms are not functioning optimally. Another tool I use is something called food, mood, poop journaling. So I use that for short periods of time with clients so that I can see what they're eating, when, how they're feeling, and what their poop looks like. So we can actually tell so much about the body and how it's functioning just from looking at our poop. As gross as it may be, it's a very important tool in holistic healthcare. And the reason I also use this is because we may like to think that we can remember and relay exactly what we ate with accuracy and precision, but it's really not our strong suit as human beings. We take in so much information all day. So I also keep these food, mood, poop journals on file so that we can refer back to them during our journey, and it can help us find any sort of patterns that may be showing up, like symptoms or moods or stool after eating certain kinds of foods. So I will be back on here soon to explain a little bit more about what working with an FNLP looks like after this initial stage. Thanks for watching.